Yeah, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Learn JavaScript with Foundry VTT. And in our last episode, we started writing our macro. If I call it module, I want you to know I meant macro. We're not writing any modules. That's much more complex. So yes, if I happen to say module, I mean macro. So as you can see, we're in version 10.291 still, just like we were when I started this other one. And we're working on our getData to get information about different components within our scene, or I guess in our Foundry itself. And what we have so far is we are able to check if we have a token selected, if we have multiple tokens selected, or if no tokens are selected. If no tokens are selected, we exit our main function and call it a day. We say, nope, no tokens selected, and we exit our macro. So in this episode, we're going to start the next thing, which is very important, is how do we check if a target is selected? So we're going to go ahead. I really don't need that guy down there anymore, but let's go ahead, and this will be how we get our target info. So let's just type, I want to check my notes and make sure comment wise I've got all the comments I wanted in there. I probably could stick in more, but that'll take time. So this will be target info. Information. Okay. So now it's a little bit different with the target info because we just have to go check if there is some target values. And part of that is the targets are going to be saved in a I think it's a mapping. So if we go look, we'll go ahead. Maybe make this a little smaller. Sometimes trying to make it so that you can see everything nice and big it can be a little cumbersome on our screen. All right, so we're gonna hit F12 here real quick. That did push them good, very good. All right, so clear this. So target information would be saved in game, so not canvas where we have our tokens. This is the actual game, which contains, you know, everything that is active within the scene and stuff. I believe that's what that is. So let's go ahead and do game and then user, and maybe we'll actually just let's end it there just so we can see what it is. Oh, not active, dang it. Game user. So if we go in here, hit enter, you will see that we actually have a targets here, right? And you'll see that it's a set. Now a thing about a set, and I believe a map also, I think I talked about this earlier, is a set is an unordered list, which means you can't access data from a set because you don't have a key value type pair. If we go look, right now we have no entries, but let's go ahead and maybe do a target. Oh, we can't do target that way. Can we target that? Yes, shift and hit T on that guy, and this will be, actually doesn't look like it targeted him. Did target? All right, let's do this the old-fashioned way then. Right click and say target. So now we have, is it not doing this guy? Target. Okay, now we have two targets, really small and hard to see. So Acra here now has two targets. So if we click on Acra and we clear this out, and then we hit the up arrow, nope, we have to click in here and then hit the up arrow. If we go look at targets now, we'll see that we actually have, where was targets? Targets right here. You'll see we have a set of two. Now we can't actually access these because it's not a key value type thing. We can't say, oh, do targets bracket 0 bracket, because technically, even though it's listing it here, it's not actually a thing like that. So a set, for example, will not allow any duplicates. So if we tried to add another target was same as the other one, it would actually have a hissy about it. But so you can see we have our targets here. So the first thing we're going to need to do with our target is convert it to an array where we can actually access it. Because if we went in here, maybe I can show you. We'll see if it works right. TAR, so there's targets. And then because targets was our thing here, it's a set. So if I tried accessing one of those, and we'll just say, let's do a targets 0 bracket 0, it's going to return undefined because there isn't really an element ID of bracket 0, 0, right? So hopefully that makes sense to you. So the first thing we're going to need to do is, before we check anything, I mean, I guess actually we could check if the set of targets, because we do have this size right here, so we should be able to do targets.size and see that it actually has a size. So we could check if targets has a value, and then if it does, then we can go ahead and convert it to an array. In other words, there's no real reason to do that. And I think that's a different way. If I'm looking at my notes of how I originally made that and just thinking about that, that's probably the better way to do it, because in my original way of doing it, I actually just blindly converted targets to an array and then checked if the array had a value of 1 or greater. So I think let's do that. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do if, and we're gonna go ahead and say if we want game.user.targets targets dot value and or not value, sorry, dot what was it, size, targets SIZE. So if that is, I guess we could check, let's check if it equals 1 first. So we'll say if it equals 1, then we know we at least have 1. If it's 2, then we want to just kind of change it a little bit as far as what it's returning. Because if it's 1, then we'll actually be able to return just that target. If it's multiple, then we have to return a smaller array of targets. So let's do that. And then of course, if it's 0, else if, and we'll do the same thing and say greater than 1, Control C. Now this one, do we want to exit if it doesn't have it? Because this is just getting information. And I guess technically, I'm trying to think if we're actually using in all the different things, if we actually use, I think we do. There might be other ways I would restructure this. I'm not going to worry because this isn't really going to be used for anything very specific. So we want greater than 1 now. And then else we say we don't have any, and we can do our UI notification just like this one right here. Control C. Can I make this a little bigger? I can. And say V, no targets. TARGET. No targets. Maybe we'll put that in parentheses. Oops, parentheses. Target or targets. and then it should be is or are selected, but I'm not going to worry about that. All right, so now we have, if there's no target selected, we'll get that. If there is a target, if it's just a single target, then obviously we want to set our variable for targets, or in this case, I guess it'll just be target. So we'll just kind of follow what we've been doing. Let's do let my target, my target equal, and this will then be where we convert our set into an array. So actually no. We might still want to blindly do it, just because then we'll actually have an array. No, because if we only have one, it'll be fine. I was just wondering, because if we have two, maybe we should do this with a second if statement, I'm thinking. So maybe, so we have game user target size, let's say greater than 0 on this one. Because it's not like I'm asking for my data, and if I have me selected, that's what I get. It's just simply saying I have targets, one or more. So I would say we don't need to actually, it's irrelevant whether it's just one or more. We're always going to get the values of the targets. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to do let my targets. We're going to call it my targets, even though there is a chance there may only be one. But I think that's going to be fine. So we're going to equal, and the way we convert our set into an array is we use uppercase ARRAY. So we do array and then dot from, and then we go ahead and put where our set is, which is in game dot user dot targets. And because it doesn't actually have any what is it, key value type of setup, we need to just say we want all the values, and that will give us all the values and convert it over to an array. So then if we go in here and we say console.log parentheses, and we could say my targets. Maybe we'll even do that with the parentheses around it, and do a colon and a comma, and we can say my targets, like so. Now that should work. So now that we have 2, we should actually get my targets of 2. So if we do that, execute, you'll see here we have our targets, my targets, and now it's been turned into an array, so we actually have a value 0 and 1. Now, if there isn't a no target situation, we always have 1, so we could always know that our primary target, so to speak, would be 0. So if we ever were kind of blindly just checking one of the targets, we could always know that if this first one's true, we know that there is going to be an element 0. We're never guaranteed that element 1 and further will actually exist. So that's something to keep in mind. So here you can see in our target now we actually have information such as we could check, like we were the other time, we were checking what effects were on them or something. If we want to do something like that to see what they had, We could go look at the data, I believe it is. Data. Data right here. Expand that, and then of course we have in here our effects. This one doesn't have any effects on it, but that's okay. But that's one thing you might. The reason I'm pointing out effects is because that is one thing that can change from round to round. You know, whether they have blinded or something like that. You can always check for that stuff and handle it accordingly. So I think, is that what I want? I think that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about for our targets. So let's go ahead and now kind of jump into some of the more nitty-gritty types of stuff, because we have different areas. So the main areas that you usually get data from would be, of course, the canvas. There's the game, which we were also just looking at for our targets. We were looking at game. And those are probably your two big ones. The game is basically what's out here on the board. I'm trying to think if that's the right way to say it. The game is actually the whole thing, because it's even what's within our tracker over here. Like, we could get the actor information by checking for that. Let's go ahead and get rid of this guy, because it should only show when everything's good, and then it doesn't make sense. All right, so for example, let's say we want to get the game actor information. So that would be the actors tab here, and that would be information such as these 5 things. So out here on the board, we actually have 3 tokens. Now they are linked. If they're player characters, they're actually linked to this. If we go into, I believe here, let's see. If we go to here, I believe we can see, I'm trying to remember where, there it is, link actor data, which means anything that changes on this will actually change in this as far as the character sheet goes. If we look at something, oh, that wasn't good. If we look at this guy, which is an NPC, I believe, and we click on the, oh, it's behind it. We look at this guy, Krusk. Nope, Krusk is not. Oh, that's a half orc. Do I have any? No, I don't have any NPCs. Let's go grab an NPC real quick. I need to close this. We'll just get, I don't know, DDB monsters. Obviously, I haven't imported those. Let's do SRD monsters then. Let's go grab, for example, let's grab a dragon. Why not? Dragons are fun. So if we go look at a dragon, if we go put him out here, oh geez, he's huge. If we click on him and go into his token, you'll actually see it's not linked to the actor data, which means his character sheet is actually being saved as him. So when we do this, we're not, if we go change something in here and say, yeah, he took minus 50, right? So now he's 157. If we go look at this one, you'll see he is still 207. They're completely separate. But if we were to do that, say with one of our guys here, and we'll go into here and we'll change him to, let's just do -2. I'm going to hit enter. Oops, that's the wrong enter. There we go. If we go look at this acra, you'll actually see that it's the same one because the character sheet is linked. So that was kind of a, hold on a sec, let's do plus 90. Yeah, let's do that. 100. No, we'll just do 9. All right. So hopefully that makes sense, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So that's how kind of Foundry handles it. This entire thing is the game, right? But the canvas is just what is your current scene or your current screen that you got your tokens and stuff on. So let's go ahead and get some information about our actual actors, right? So we're going to create, let's get game actor info, information. So let's go ahead and create a let, and we'll call this my actors. And once again, actors is actually a set. So where it's storing all this stuff, it'll actually be considered a set. So we're going to have to do that same thing and convert it to an array so we actually can, you know, go through it and get the stuff we want. So to do that, we're going to do that array. We're going to do array dot from, and then we're going to say where it is. So in this case, it's game dot, and if we go look at F12, we can see what information we can see. Dang it. I have to shrink this down a little. So we go to F12, like I was saying. If we do this and do game and hit enter, you'll see we have our game, and then in here we have our actors, which is the actors tab, and you can see that it has a map. Now this isn't a set, this one's a map, but once again, a map also does not technically have these actual elements. They're just doing this, I believe, for your convenience. So if we went in here and also tried to do this, saying game.actor, is it actors? Yes, actors. And then if we said, is there something inside there? Nope, just map. So at this point, if we tried going bracket 0 bracket, once again, it's going to be undefined because a map does not actually have these keys, key value type set. So what we need to do once again is get our values, but we want the actors. So we're going to do game actors. So we're going to do actors, and we're going to get those values and create an array from those values, which will give us a key value setup. So VALUES, and if we do that, now we actually have our information that we need. So what we'd want to do is, in this case, we're not always going to have actors necessarily. I mean, generally if you have them out on the board, you have actors, but you can actually drag directly from a compendium, I believe, into the scene. And I'm not sure if it actually creates an actor when you do that. Let's check that out, because that's actually kind of an interesting thought. So if we come in here and go back to our monsters SRD and maybe just grab the aboleth, if we just drag him out here, did it create us an actor automatically? It did. Okay. So I guess you're always going to have an actor. So it might be safe to just print it. We don't need to actually check if there's an actor or not. So let's go back into our clear U. Oh man. Get U. There we go. And then hit F12. Alright, so now that we're setting our actors, let's go ahead and output con sole.log, and we could say I'm going to just say my actors tab, just to always remind us that yes, this is not on the actual canvas. So my actors tab, and we'll just call this my, and this will actually give us a key value type list. So if we run this, now we have our my actors, and you can see we have all of them in a key value type setup. So here's our aboleth, which was the last one added, and you'll see we now can actually access his information, whether it's, you know, his health and all that fun stuff. If we go to data, I believe we can actually see there's effects, not items, ownership, properties, reset, probably in data. No, I don't think it's, yeah, actually it's in here. So abilities, I guess it's health. It's going to be in here somewhere as well. So there you go. It's probably under details, maybe. No. So that will get us actor information. So let's get some other types of information. So let's say, for example, you want to see one if the combat tracker has any combat or any people in it that are in combat or anything like that. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and do combat info. Combat information. So the way we can do that is we can, once again, we're going to have a set. So if we go into our thing here under game, because it's not the canvas, so if we go under game, you'll actually see that we have one in here called combats. And if we expand that, you'll see we actually have one entry that is a combat, but it is a map. So once again, we know we need to convert that to an array. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do oops. Now is this one that we could do what we were thinking about doing with targets? Because we're checking, we want to check if it's at least, if the combat length is 1. And if so, then we could get all of the combats. So if it's greater than 1. So yeah, I think we could do that. Let's go ahead and we'll do our if. So if, and we're gonna do game dot combats. So if game dot combats dot actually that's what was it, size was next? Yeah, size right there. Combat size, S-I-Z-E. So we can actually have multiple combats in a combat tracker. We can, encounters, we can keep track of more than one. So we're just going to say if it's greater than 0, then we know that we have at least one. Else, we'll just output, whoops, what am I doing? Console.log. And we'll say, no COMBA combats in the TRACKER. So that'll give us if there's no combats in the tracker. And then once we do know that there's at least one set to even do anything with, we can go ahead and convert it into our array of combats. So let's do let and my COMBATS. We're running a little long, and I apologize. I just wanted to get through all this. There's only one other thing I wanted to go do after this one. Combats, and we'll say equals, and once again ARRAY dot from, and then where we form from, and then where are we getting it from? We are getting it from game combat values. Game.combat, is it combats, right? Combats, yes. .VALUES, which will grab all the different values. VAL helps to spell things right, and that will give us that. And then we can actually say CONSOLE console.log and say my COMBATS, and oops, I didn't mean to do that. Do that. Do a comma, and then my combats. So now we should actually, if we run this, we should see that we should have one combat in there. So here you can see, here's our combat, and we can see all the information associated with it. I believe under data is where there's where our combatants are. So as you can see, we have 3. You can, if I shrink this, you can see we actually have 3 in there. We can get the information on them. What their initiative was, I believe, is in here. So there's their key. Here's the values that's associated with that key. We have the actor ID. We have what their initiative was, the name, and all the stuff that's associated with that. The final thing I wanted to actually do really quick, and this will probably take us just a little over 30 minutes for this whole video, but I think it's a good one as well, is to, for example, go look at items. Because let's say you wanted to make a macro that will heal someone, you know, for whatever reason in the game system it doesn't actually do that. You would want to go, for example, go look at their inventory, see if they have a healing potion. If they have a healing potion, then go ahead and use said healing potion and minus that, or minus the quantity in the inventory. So that might be a place where you might want to use that. So let's go ahead and get some item information. And this would be one where I was saying, well, here we're returning 0 and exiting. This one would definitely be one that if we don't have a token selected, there's absolutely no reason to even try this because it's probably going to error out. So this one is actually going to use the my token, or we could do my my token, I think. I'm trying to think if this is the one I'm thinking of. Oh no, this is the actually this is what I want to do. On my notes I actually have going into the items tab right here, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you how you would check your token. So we're actually going to access our token information, see if we can figure out where that is really quick. So now this might actually go to 30, almost 40 minutes. This one I'm going to have to do kind of on the fly and show you my process, I guess. So we can close out this, and we're going to need our token because that's what we're going to do. And I believe we go to data. And I think it's our items in here. Inventory, backpack, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember where it was stored. Collections. What is this? Is this inventory? No, this is kind of a loopy thing. I know I've done this before. I just got to remember really quick where it is. I think, is there an item? Actually, it might be in the actor because it's the character sheet. So let's do that real quick. See, so we should have an actor token. Is it my actor? No, I'm right. It's going to be in here. So I think there's one called items. I think that's what I'm just missing. So let's go look for an items. G I. Is it in? Is there? That's not the one I'm thinking of. Is it? Items. Okay, it actually is here. So inside our token, there's one called actor. Inside there is one called items. And these are all the items on Acra. So if we go double click on Acra, which might be hard to do since we can go look at his inventory and see he just has a lot of stuff. Does he have a healing potion though? Let's see. Let's do this. We're going to go give him a healing potion. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do this differently. Maybe I'm not going to do this because I'm actually going to show you a macro how to do just what I was saying. So I think this is actually a good stopping point. We kind of got, we don't need the item information on this because we're going to do that when we actually look at the inventory and applying a healing potion and subtracting it and stuff. So I think this is a good spot. We're at 34 minutes, 35 minutes. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. It helps me tremendously on YouTube. And boy, oh boy, do I need it. I don't have a lot of subs, but it'd be great to get more recognition and notice on YouTube. You know, comment down below, like, subscribe, click the little notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I put up new videos, and that helps me get more visibility on the YouTube's site through their algorithms and stuff. And tell other people about my channel. Check it out. If they like what they see, they can sub. And of course, always you can talk to me on my Discord. And that is it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.